I think you may not like that much as what he has said. He has given a very detailed account, comprehensive account of gut health, and I will of course use some of his points in my presentation also, because immunosuppression in chickens. So to introduce, basically poultry business is associated with livestock, and so we need to be on toes 24/7. It's not a business which rolling from distant place. So it's a very serious business, and with wafer thin margins in this business nowadays, we need to be very vigilant to get the best results. You know, the input costs are not in our hands, neither the finished good costs are in our hands. So what best we can do is to minimize the cost of production, and in this cost of production reduction, the most important is maintaining the health of the birds. One of the part was gut health, which Dr. Andre has covered, and of course we need to see that all the parts are covered very nicely. So we need to get best performance for better profitability. Now diseases. The poultry being livestock, it is vulnerable to a large number of diseases, and diseases may be caused by infectious factors as well as by non-infectious factors. Now when we look at the economics, crores of rupees are lost every year in India as a result of diseases caused by bacteria, viruses and fungi. You know, there are huge losses because of these diseases, and because of medication, because of mortalities, because of other things, a large amount of money has been wasted in India. And despite the use of prolific use of antibiotics, extensively we are using antibiotics for whatever reasons. For minor reasons also we go for antibiotics. If the birds are sneezing, go for Enrocin. If they are having some respiratory sounds, go for Enrofloxacin BH. If they are going with this heavy bioburden is coming is very important. One of the major thing is unacceptably high levels of bioburden because of bacteria, viruses and fungi, which is coming from one batch to next batch. And that's why the cleaning of sheds and disinfection of sheds becomes very important in between the flocks, so that the population of these microorganisms grows beyond a particular level. They can cross through the vaccinated bird's immunity also, and then this increasing virulence of pathogens is also putting a lot of pressure on the available vaccine strains. Also, like Dr. Andre mentioned, also growing level of public pressure about restricting the antibiotics only for treatment. You must have read now that people are increasing animal hygiene levels will not only reduce the challenge existing on existing vaccines and prolong their useful life, but also reduce the erosion of available antibiotic resources, and so it will be useful for poultry as well as humans. Unless we try to keep the birds healthy and reduce the use of antibiotics, you are not going to get any new molecules or any new vaccine strains to get the results at a later stage. Now, the main topic of immunosuppression, what we are going to discuss. The immunity, of course, everybody knows that it's ability to stop infection or to Of course, as you know, it's a stage where it is suppressed or reduced, and whenever there is immunosuppression, you get a lot of problems, what we are going to discuss at a later stage. So it could be humoral antibodies, that is antibodies, or it could be cell-mediated antibodies, cell-mediated immunity. So when I say immunosuppression, both these types of immunities, whether it's a humoral or cell-mediated, both of them will be compromised, and that is not good for health of the birds. Now, whom does it affect? Of course, we know that all living animals can get affected by immunosuppression. It could be cattle, it could be poultry, it could be sheep, it could be goat, and even we humans, we know there are certain diseases like acquired immunodeficiency syndrome and severe swine flu. All these are indications of immunosuppression in the birds. Now, immunosuppression in poultry birds. If we think at what age it will affect the birds, generally it is in the younger chicks, but not restricted to young birds. We can of course, chicks are more sensitive because immune system development is taking place in the younger age. Now, how to recognize immunosuppression, or what are the markers of immunosuppression? How to know that the birds are suffering from immunosuppression? First and foremost is poor growth. We know there are certain milestones in the development of birds, whether they are broilers or breeders or layers. So you will get the poor growth. For example, nowadays in the current broilers, at the end of first week you are getting something like 200 grams, 2 weeks 600 grams, 3 weeks 900 grams, 4 weeks 1200 grams, 5 weeks 2.2 kg. You will not get that growth if they are immunosuppressed. Similarly, in layer birds, you expect around 230 grams by 4th week, 600 grams by 8th week, 900 grams by 12th week, 1100 grams by 16th week, and 1300 grams by 18th week. That also is not possible. That means poor growth is the very first marker that the birds have undergone immunosuppression. Then poor response to vaccination. Even if you do a very good vaccine procedure with a good strain of vaccine, still you will see that you will not get the complete results. If you analyze the serum samples in poultry disease diagnostic laboratories for knowing the immune status, despite good vaccination, the birds are not mounting good immune response. For example, like ND titers, if we are expecting the titer of 10 GMT, you may get only 4 or 5. And in certain cases, it could be even total failure of the vaccine. Despite vaccination, the birds will not at all get protection from the disease, and they will show a very serious outbreak. So either poor response to vaccination or a total failure of vaccination, that is one of the markers. Then natural mortality. We know we cannot take out entire flock in zero mortality. There will be some mortality. Like nowadays, broilers, they are coming out in less than 3% mortality. In layers, we expect around 2% in growing and 6% in laying phase. So it could be more than this if the birds are immunosuppressed. Then, poor feed conversion ratio for layers as well as broilers. Now, broilers, we know nowadays people are taking less than 1.5 FCR. In layers, the FCR is calculated as feed per egg, which is expected to be less than 130. It could be 140, 150, anything. But if the birds are not healthy or immune suppressed, they will get more FCR for this. Then increased rate of opportunistic infections. You know there are specifically E. coli which cannot do anything on their own unless they get some opportunity like immunosuppression. And when immunosuppression takes place because of any factor, what we are going to get upper hand and they will start showing their power. That is secondary opportunistic organisms. So overall, it will be a very poor performance. That is are the markers of immunosuppressed birds. Now the organs or cells that can be damaged in immunosuppression, most of them are already mentioned by Dr. Ranade in his presentation. The first and foremost is bursa fabricius, which is the factory for producing antibodies into the birds. And that's why when we say Gambora has attacked the birds, it will damage the bursa like anything. No production of further antibodies, and birds will become susceptible for host of other infections. So first is bursa fabricius, then thymus, which is again important organ for T cell immunity, then spleen, Then bone marrow, again, these are for antibodies. Then these other antibody, these lymphoid cells, what we mentioned earlier, like gut-associated lymphoid tissues, bronchial-associated lymphoid tissues, mucosal-associated lymphoid tissues, arterial gland, Peyer's patches, and circulating cells themselves. These are all the organs which will be damaged in the immunosuppressed birds. Now, immunosuppression, what are the reasons? How or why immunosuppression takes place in the birds? It could be because of infectious and non-infectious agents. That is first part. Then it could be improper feeding balance, that is deficiencies of the some nutrients. Lack of biosecurity, which is a very important point again. Then management failures, which put a lot of stress on the birds, or a combination of these. So infectious or non-infectious disease, improper feeding balance, lack of biosecurity, managemental failure, or a combination of these. All these factors together could be a reason for immunosuppression in the birds. Now these are the reasons of immunosuppression. We'll see infectious and non-infectious. In the infectious parts, viruses, bacteria, and parasites. I will name them in the next slides. In the non-infectious, you will see some toxic part and some non-toxic part. In the toxic, one is microbial toxins, one is mycotoxins, one is chemicals, one is drugs. These are all factors which are toxic, can lead to immunosuppression in the birds. And in infectious as well as non-infectious, the part reasons could be leading to immunosuppression in the chicken. Now, what are the entry points for disease-producing organisms? Because when we construct the shed, we must take care of certain points so that these points are sealed during construction of shed itself. But besides that, again there are many points which lead to entry of different organisms. You can see there are about a dozen of points of entry, like water, feed, litter, hatchery, stock from other sources. Now this has become very important because in layers, till about 5 years back, people used to grow their own pullets and put them for laying. But recently, for last 5-6 years, people are purchasing grown-up pullets from some other sources. So grown-up birds from other sources is also important. Vehicles, housing, then workers and visitors, equipments, rodents, insects, and wild birds. All these factors are entry points of the organisms into the shed. So we must take care of all the things when we are thinking of immunosuppression in the chicken. Now what are the infectious factors we are discussing? These are mainly viral diseases. Mainly viral, and most important are Gaburo, chicken anemia, Murray's disease, and fowlpox. These 4 viral diseases are very serious reasons for immunosuppression in the birds, leading to a lot of further complications. And then in parasitic, coccidiosis, and there is one more called cryptosporidiosis. These 2 are parasitic, which can lead to immunosuppression into the birds. Now when we think of IBD sometimes is coming like epidemic, everywhere IBD. Sometimes it is not there. Cannot see that disease is there, but it takes the toll inside the body, and you will see a lot of problems. So we'll see some of the photographs also of the chicks which are infected early in life with IBD virus. They will have increased susceptibility to the host of diseases. So as I said in the beginning, the immune system is in the developing stage in young chicks. So if the chicks get exposed to IBD virus in very young age, that system itself will not develop properly, and the birds become susceptible to host of infections at a later stage. In many cases, simply by improving IBD vaccination schedule, many diseases have been covered. Many times you need some laboratory help for this to know what are the maternal antibody status in the chicks. Depending on that, you can design the schedule, and that schedule, if you fine tune, taking into consideration the history of earlier flocks, the many diseases, not only IBD, many diseases could be controlled because of this IBD vaccination schedule. Now these are some of the photographs, or the people who have worked in field and opened the birds, they must know and they must have seen this. The muscular hemorrhages in the thigh muscles, then hemorrhages in the bursal follicles, and then the enlarged bursa. These are all very typical pictures of IBD, and many of you must have seen, because on and off IBD comes and goes. So that will be there. And as I said, if the outbreak is there, we know it. If it is a hidden enemy, subclinical thing, it becomes more dangerous to cover the disease. There are two more photographs of IBD virus. See, this is a very serious case. You can see the bursa, which has been very dark red, and such type of birds, the mortality would be very high. Of course, in broilers, the mortality is much lower as compared to layers. Broilers, it could be maximum 2 to 3%, not even that much. In layers, it generally crosses 10%. So IBD is one of the most important immunosuppressive disease. Then next is our CAV, our friend for last 7-8 years. It's another important immunosuppressant, and if it associates with some other immunosuppressive agents, the infection of CAV can be increasingly severe. So the mortalities will be more, the complications will be more. That is important for CAV. And then it will suppress the immunity to HVT virus, because many times nowadays the vaccination for MD are done twice, even thrice. One in the hatchery, one on the first day of vaccine at the farm, and sometimes even they do third. But even if you have vaccinated the birds properly, the CAV will suppress the vaccine immunity for HVT and may lead to VVMD. This is not printing mistake, it is VVMD, not VVMD, very virulent form of Marek's disease. So it could lead to mortality in early age because of VVMD. And GD, that gangrenous dermatitis or blue wing or wing rot. These are some of the photographs of CAV. The first photograph shows you a gizzard which is covered with a layer called as coilin layer, which doesn't come up. Then this is a photograph of gangrenous dermatitis, which is generally a result of CAV. But as I said, which is an area where bird flu was declared first time in India. And there CAV was not a major issue. Just by fine-tuning the IBD vaccination schedules in those farms, we could control the occurrence of gangrenous dermatitis in those farms. And Marek's disease, that is another immunosuppressant disease. Of course, it will have its own mortality also. Besides that, it will reduce the immunity of birds against all the infectious diseases. I have taken some photographs. This form coming on the skin, you see like this is slightly different. Even in the farm, you will see maize grain like growths on the skin. That is all the cutaneous or skin form of the disease. Then besides that, the other things are enlarged nerves. It will be sciatic plexus and brachial plexus. The nerves will show you the striations on This is enlarged liver. This is typical posture of Marek's. One leg stretched forward, one leg stretched backward. Very typical posture of Marek's. And then enlarged kidneys. These are all different types of findings in case of Marek's. And then you can see many times the nodular growth on the liver. That is a very common finding in case of Marek's. This is a very common thing, but other things are not very common, so I have shown you those photographs. Then coccidiosis, as Dr. Ranade was saying in gut health, coccidiosis is associated lymphoid tissues are very important in developing immunity in the birds. Then toxic factors, it is mainly by mycotoxins. Because mycotoxins are rampant, nobody can prepare feed without toxin. If anybody comes and says, or I come and say, I have got a feed, Rukadikar feed which is without toxins, I am lying. Mycotoxins are bound to be there. Only thing, they need to be added with a very good toxin binder so that the mycotoxin will not have its role on the birds. And earlier, till about 10 years back, we were thinking only of aflatoxin. And we were targeting aflatoxin binders. But nowadays, there are at least 8 mycotoxins in the poultry feed which don't need warmth or moisture to grow. They can grow even at 8 degrees centigrade. They don't need 35 degrees centigrade. In dry atmosphere also, they can grow. So these type of mycotoxins will be a major factor. Microbial toxins, certain bacteria, they produce endotoxins, mainly E. coli, Salmonella, Clostridia, and Pasteurella. They will produce their own toxins called as endotoxins. They also can cause immunosuppression. Pesticides, nobody is using pesticides in the feed. But by mistake, inadvertently, certain pesticides may be coming with raw material what is being used and they can cause the toxic effect. Drugs, certain drugs are toxic. Indiscriminate use, that is first thing. I said prolific use, that is indiscriminate. Many times, people are using like in if we vets recommend it for 5 days and then sometimes farmers use it. Then mycotoxins, presence of low level of mycotoxins in poultry, they will not kill the birds. If the mycotoxins are if it is there, I mean mostly it is there in the feed, will increase the susceptibility to cecal coccidiosis, Marek's, Salmonella, IBD. That means, in short, it will increase susceptibility, reduce resistance against all these infections. Presence of low level of mycotoxins in feed can lead to disease occurrence even in properly vaccinated birds. That's what I said, the second point in my slide which said markers of immunosuppression, poor response to vaccination or vaccination failure. So in properly vaccinated birds also, if the feed has got aflatoxin and it is not bound by toxin binder, the birds will show you outbreaks. And then public health concern. Somebody asked me what is public health concern with mycotoxins. If we come across a high level of mycotoxins leading to different diseases in the birds, and then these issues of superbugs they are discussing because of poultry, although we are getting enzymes and hormones in vegetables also. So this is just one slide of E. coli, because I said about microbial toxins, so I just taken one photograph, how serious E. coli is the issue in our poultry farming, especially broilers. I think there won't be any broiler farm wherein at least once in the flock life they have got E. coli occurrence. So that is, and they are again producing toxins which is causing further immunosuppression. Then mycotoxins may be produced in otherwise good feed if the storage is not proper. Whenever somebody is selling you feed or you prepare your own feed, because lack of good ventilation and around the feed bags, stacking more number of bags on one another. The feed is kept on the ground or it is adjacent to the wall. Many times water percolates inside, and then since there is no ventilation around, it will lead to growth of bacteria, growth of fungus producing mycotoxins in the feed. So that is, even though the feed is good, the storage itself will be a problem because these conditions become conducive for growth of bacteria and fungi. So I'll show you some photographs wherein it is faulty. This is a photograph which will show you how feed should not be stored in the farm. This is the wrong method of feed storage. The feed is completely put on the ground. It is exactly opposition to the wall. So there are two factors, and then more than 6-7 bags are there on each other. More bags are stacked on each other. So there is no area of ventilation around the feed, and this can lead to development of mycotoxins because of growth of fungus in this. So I'll show you a photograph which is really a good method of feed storage. This is the method wherein you'll see that the bags are kept on some stand made up of iron. You can use any stand, and then not more than 6 bags are stacked on each other. There is enough ventilation space. The birds also are free to move inside. So this type of storage is necessary. Sometimes farmers say this is little costly, so we have some simple options also like this. There are 2 wooden blocks kept on 2 cement blocks. So this simple thing can be used instead of very expensive type of storage. Or there is this type of thing, wooden planks are kept on some cement platforms, and these feed bags will be stored on this. So this is again a simple thing. So although our feed is good and the storage is faulty, then in that case you will get the problem of mycotoxins. And when the problem comes of toxicity, the doctors recommend some antitoxin products, and then the farmer goes to the feed manufacturer and says that your feed is wrong. That is not the case. So we must see that it is properly stored. The nutritional factors, one is imbalance of nutrients, as Dr. Anand said. Vitamins, macro and micro minerals, amino acids, these are required in specific proportion. It should not be imbalanced. Or there could be deficiency if we don't formulate as per the type of the bird, age and stage of production as per season. Unless we formulate feed with these type of things, there won't be any, there will be immunosuppression in the birds. Then nutritional factors, combination of environmental and disease stress, it increases the demands of essential nutrients greatly. So even if our feed looks like balanced or having enough amount of nutrients, many times if it's a combination of environmental stress and disease stress, it will require more amount of nutrients. So especially whatever are nutrients required are nucleic acid, vitamin A, iron, selenium and several other vitamins. Then environmental factors, extremes of temperature. Like in north it is 0 degrees or even minus. Even in Pune it is something like 7.6 yesterday. So extreme of temperature, either low or high, sudden change of temperature, non-stopping rains, these are all environmental factors which lead to immunosuppression. Managemental factors, most important is stress. And there is no substitute for good management, we always say. It's a very important factor. So stress is the factor which is because of the mistakes in the management. And one of the most common is overcrowding. Many times, if the shade or if the total capacity is 5,000, people put 6,000 or so. That is again a problem. Poor ventilation leading to ammonia, faulty brooding condition, improper handling of birds, faulty vaccination. These are all the factors which are related to management, and it is responsibility of management to see that these factors don't play a role in the poultry farming. Now I show you 3 photographs of faulty debeaking. The first one shows you a very poor debeaking. Almost the nostrils are also cut halfway. Then the second one shows you slightly better, and the third one is perfect. All these birds are of same age, but you can see the problem. Now bird doesn't come and say, cut this much beak. It is our mistake that these are the faults from management. Then this is bad litter condition, feed in the feeders which has converted into cakes. So these are all the factors leading to. Then biosecurity, of course, failure to implement good biosecurity program is the main cause of immunosuppression. So many people come and go, so many materials come and go. That is the main reason for immunosuppression. This is one, just I have taken a photo from some poultry farm wherein a rat is sitting in the cage. This is a daytime photograph, and if you see the literature, if you see one rat in the daytime, there are 100 hidden rats in the shed. So you can imagine how. It also takes place in case of rat control. Then what are the possible damages in the poultry? So these are all the different damages which is taking place. Poor quality eggs, externally, internally, poor quality chicks, low hatchability, no sustained production, no continuation of productivity cycle. These are all the after effects of immunosuppression. Then how to prevent it? Once we know immunosuppression, we should know how to prevent it. And the first and foremost point is proper cleaning and disinfection of shed between the flocks. Because I said in one of the slides, heavy bioburden is the main thing, and where from it comes, if the sheds are not cleaned properly, the infection is passing from earlier batch to the next flock. So cleaning of the shed between the flocks is very important. Sufficient shed rest, strict biosecurity, scientific formulation of feed according to type of bird, season, age of production. Then food debate entrance, this is a very simple thing, people are not doing it. This is different photographs are taken. I have been to Vijayawada last month. So different type of tub they are putting. Clean, they will put your food in the clean water first, so that dust is going. Then you can put in the chemical water so that its effectiveness is maintained. Then use of good quality toxin binder around the year. Use of required amounts of vitamin E and selenium in the feed. Good quality drinking water sanitizer, because we are using drinking water sanitizer, but they should be used in proper dose and proper method. There are so many mistakes in this, but because of time constraint, I cannot describe all those in detail. Then, to minimize the stress on the birds, and if we know what are the stress types like debeaking and shifting and grading or vaccination, we can put some anti-stress products, either herbal or chemical, in the water before that, so that the problem is minimized. And then most important is preventive vaccination against all the viral and bacterial diseases prevalent in the area. There is no substitute for good management. Vaccination cannot be substitute for management. It could be. Then it can be prevented, or its effects can be minimized if we attack it from all the angles like nutrition, management, biosecurity, good vaccination. If we look at all the factors, it could be prevented, or at least its effects could be minimized. So to summarize, disease and disorders are going to be in poultry farming 24/7. Somebody said key in poultry is for problems. So it will be there 24/7. We should be ready to fight for it. Then we must make birds strong from inside to face any attack from outside. Like in human, we say Chavanprash. च्यवनप्राश दे दो तो बच्चा एकदम इम्यून हो जाएगा, उसको सर्दी नहीं होगी, खांसी नहीं होगी. So we must make the birds strong from inside. Our च्यवनप्राश is vitamins and minerals and all those things. Then feed formulations, as I said, must take into account the additional needs for immunity and stress fighting. Because as I said, you need at least 10 to 20% more for that. Then good quality toxin binder needs to be used in correct dose around the year. And then last slide, proper sanitation of drinking water to prevent the bacteria coming through drinking water. Regular cleaning of water tanks and pipes. Many times this is not done in the farm. And last but not least, we vets must train the farmers on correct vaccination procedure and their importance so that the vaccine will do the job what it is expected to do. Thank you very much.